Hello everyone, and welcome to the fourth webinar of the series 9 months, 9 universities for this academic year 2024-2025. My name is Géraldine Dion. I'm an international project assistant at the University of Lyon 1, and I will be hosting today's talk. Before introducing today's webinar and speaker, let me give you a bit of context. The Arcus European University Alliance brings together 9 institutions which share academic, scientific, and cultural objectives, a common vision of the role of higher education and research, and mutual fields of interest. Today's webinar is part of the guest lecture series 9 months, 9 universities, offered in the framework of the Plurilingual and Intercultural Hub. This hub is one of the work packages of the Alliance, and it aims to promote plurilingualism within the 9 institutions to capitalize on students, researchers, and staff's competence in different languages, as well as to foster their intercultural competence, one of the soft skills much needed in today's society. These lectures focus on specific topics related to language and culture and are intended to generate awareness and appreciation for the topic of multilingualism, as well as an understanding of the many areas of our lives that are related to and influenced by language. Let me now introduce today's speaker, Dr. Kateryna Blyzniuk from the National University of Kyiv-Mohyla Academy. Kateryna Blyzniuk is a senior lecturer at the Department of General and Slavic Linguistics and the Department of International Relations. She holds a PhD in comparative historical and typological linguistics. Her main fields of research are comparative linguistics, with a specific focus on Slavic languages, lexicology, and the influence of culture, history, and socio-political factors on the formation of languages. Since beginning her Polish language studies in 2009, she has deepened her expertise at prestigious Polish university and through specialized training. Kateryna Blyzniuk has been teaching Polish at the Kyiv-Mohyla Academy since 2017. She also offers courses in general linguistics, comparative linguistics, Slavic philology, and linguistics geography. Today, Dr. Blyzniuk will talk about the use of songs in foreign languages classes to learn in and about cultural context. During her presentation, Dr. Blyzniuk will discuss the cultural significance of songs and the way they reflect a society's history, traditions, and values, and offer learners deeper cultural insights, taking the example of the Ukrainian students learning Polish in the current context of ongoing war. Before giving the screen to Dr. Blyzniuk, I would like to remind you that you can leave your comments or questions in the comment box, and I will pass them on to Dr. Blyzniuk at the end of the webinar. Well, Kateryna, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us. The screen is now yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Geraldine, for the introduction, and I'm grateful to the Arcus Alliance and the 9 months, 9 universities series for the opportunity to share my expertise in teaching Polish as a foreign language. You may be wondering why the topic of today's webinar is about learning rather than teaching a language, and I will answer this question right away. The focus today will be on students' attitudes towards using songs in foreign language. You will find out whether they really appreciate all the benefits that music brings to foreign language classes. We will also discuss the main challenges faced by teachers and ways to overcome them. The integration of songs into foreign language teaching has been widely recognized as an effective pedagogical strategy. Songs, with their repetitive structures and melodic patterns, facilitate the memorization of vocabulary and grammatical structures. The mnemonic qualities of music aid in embedding linguistic elements into long-term memory. Singing along with songs allows learners to practice the phonetic aspects of a language in a natural and enjoyable context. The practice helps in refining pronunciation and mastering the intonation patterns of the target language. Songs expose learners to authentic language use, including various accents and dialects. This exposure enhances listening and comprehension skills and prepares learners for real-life communication scenarios. The authors of the book ABC for the Methodology of Teaching Polish as a Foreign Language, Anna Seretny and Eva Lipinska, believe that working with songs not only helps to learn pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar, but also teaches comparison, paraphrasing, and the use of metaphors. It also allows to perform tasks involving changing style, practicing spelling and punctuation. Singing together reduces the distance between the teacher and the student. And sometimes singing a song serves as a warm-up or an ice break in a difficult lesson. All these benefits are well understood by foreign language instructors and have been widely studied by researchers. At the same time, the student's perspective remains somewhat in the shadow. The Al-Efeshat and Banyabd al-Rahman study found that students perceive music as less valuable for learning new words or increasing interest in a foreign language than teachers. However, almost all the students have a positive attitude towards using songs in the classroom. The Insani and Immunatum research revealed that 96.8% of students agree that songs help them find the meaning of foreign words and pronounce them correctly, but only 87.1% agree that the songs improve their vocabulary. According to Lukashevich, only 65.3% of students believe that songs help them explore Polish culture after books, 80%, films, 78%, and social media, 77.3%. The respondents are most interested in learning about everyday life, education, work, and the state of the society. To a lesser extent, they would like to discuss topics related to sports, the natural environment, and above all, holidays and customs in Poland. These areas related to everyday life, not celebrations, were considered by the respondents to be the most interesting and useful in understanding Polish culture. Therefore, Lukashevich concludes that it is the teacher's responsibility to combine cultural and linguistic information, selecting materials based on the learner's preferences. So, which preferences and attitudes do students have at Kyiv-Mohyla Academy? In December 2024, I asked my students to fill out a questionnaire, most of which consisted of statements about the use of songs in Polish classes. Students had to respond to the statements by giving a score from 1 to 5, where 1 meant strongly disagree and 5 meant strongly agree. I received 50 responses from students who had studied Polish from level 0 to A1, A2 at the Kyiv-Mohyla Academy. As you can see from the slide, most of them are 18, 19, and 21 years old. The participants of the survey were mostly women, which corresponds to the typical proportion of Polish language classes at the Kyiv-Mohyla Academy. Students study at the Faculty of Humanities, Law, Economics, Social Sciences, and Natural Sciences, Informatics, Faculty of Health, which means that they represent all the faculties of our university. Since the pandemic, the educational process at the National University of Kyiv-Mohyla Academy has been taking place mainly online. Only first and second year students study on campus. Senior students may have some offline courses, for example, if they need access to laboratories or special equipment. Polish language classes are held exclusively online, as this is an elective course that students from different faculties and different years of study can enroll in. 45 out of 50 survey participants live in Kyiv and its surroundings during their studies. This is important because it puts most students on the same footing and makes it easier for the lecturer to track information about air raids and their consequences and react more quickly, including choosing the music for a class or deciding not to use it on that particular day. We will return to this data later when we discuss the part of the questionnaire that tracks the impact of war on the use of music in Polish language teaching in Ukraine. When asked if they had any previous knowledge of Polish, 31 students said no, but 8 students had tried to learn Polish on their own. 7 had learned some Polish at school. 6 had lived in Poland for some time, and 3 students knew some Polish from family and tutors. Furthermore, 24% of students had listened to Polish music before starting their course at the university, and 46% had listened to some songs, which together gives 70% of respondents who had some familiarity with Polish songs before hearing them in the classroom. This may explain why only 16% of students agreed that it was difficult to listen to songs in Polish. At the beginning of the course, instead, 16% denied the difficulty. The majority of students expressed enthusiasm for listening music and agreed that it increases their desire to learn. You can see some of the students' comments on the slide. Songs are my favorite part of the lesson. I always hope that we will listen to something. This is an interesting and fun way to learn something new for yourself. Songs relieve the lesson and help to develop correct pronunciation and interest in learning the language. None of the students said that songs in Polish classes were a waste of time. Moreover, 84% of respondents strongly rejected this statement, showing that music plays an important role in learning a foreign language. It is the lecturer's responsibility to fulfill the student's desire and or need to interact with music, songs, and chants as entertainment and as a special field of fine art. The vast majority of students understand the benefit of listening to music, which is proven by their full support for the statement, "I think it is useful to learn Polish through songs." And their comments. From my own experience, I can say that listening to songs has a positive effect on learning any language. You can learn not only individual words, but also popular phrases, hear the correct pronunciation, and better understand Polish culture. Quite a few students believe that listening to songs is more effective than traditional strategies of learning a foreign language. However, there are still 34% of respondents who found it difficult to answer and 4% who denied this statement. As you can read from the comments, some students understand that learning through songs cannot replace traditional methods. Moreover, the student emphasizes that high-quality songs should be selected for teaching purposes. 96% of students feel that Polish songs enrich their vocabulary, and 88% affirm that listening to music improves their pronunciation. Although both skills are expected to enhance the ability to communicate in Polish, students' responses show less confidence in this area. There is an interesting correlation between the answers about the impact of songs on communication skills and grammar. 44% and 42% of students fully agree on communication skills importance. 32 and 28% partially agree that songs influence communication skills and grammar. 18 and 20% find it difficult to answer, and so on. This provokes the idea that Ukrainians learning Polish are aware that correct grammar is important for effective communication. Our languages are closely related. It is believed that they share up to 65% of the same vocabulary, meaning that Ukrainians can quickly learn to understand Polish at a basic level, once they get used to the different phonetics. This lexical proximity only works one way, making it easier to understand the language, but the production of language, which is important for communication, is impossible without understanding how the language works. And this is where grammar comes into play. Of course, songs can be used to learn foreign language grammar. They provide material for analysis, understanding the rules and examples for memorization through a constant repetition of grammar structures. This study confirms the effectiveness of songs, as 70% of students agree that they help them with grammar, although their influence on pronunciation and vocabulary is dominant. According to Rafał Pichotsky, due to its typical characteristics, melody, rhythm, and often rhyme, songs can make an important contribution to the development of communicative competence, mainly through learning and acquiring new vocabulary. And this is where culture enters the game. For example, in the song "Kyiv v Lublinie" by Bratanki, the protagonist asks to love her in a beret, a hat, a headscarf, a hat from the uncle who lives in Lviv. She uses a specific word for the uncle, stry. This song is most often used to learn the locative case, which is one of the most difficult Polish cases, so it is taught later in the course. Students usually already know the names of family members by this point, and the uncle is referred to as wujek. Textbooks for the beginners do not teach students about the whole structure of the traditional Polish family. Therefore, through this song, they learn that a mother's brother is called wujek, and a father's brother is a stry. Their wives are called accordingly wujna and stryjna. As Gregory Hadley pointed out, metaphorically speaking, words are like the shadows of a society. They are not the society in themselves, but reveal the cognitive shape of that culture in an abstract sort of way. And songs often reflect the cultural nuances and societal contexts of the language being learned. By engaging with music, learners gain insights into the cultural backdrop, idiomatic expressions, and colloquial language, thereby fostering a deeper cultural understanding. Another part of the song of Kyiv v Lublinie reveals one more cultural difference. The protagonist asks to love her in the serenity of Palm Sundays. The problem is that in Ukraine, this day is called Willow Sunday. The students are even more surprised by the Easter palms. After coming across the name Palm Sunday, they expect to see the actual leaves of a palm tree. Instead, they see something bright and colorful. I often hear the comment that it's something Mexican. Although an Easter palm is a traditional Lithuanian and Polish symbolic decoration. Traditionally, Polish Easter palms were made from willow branches with catkins, as you may see here on the photo. As palm trees are not indigenous to Poland, willow branches served as symbolic substitutes for palm branches. Just like in Ukraine, but here you will still see only such small bouquets. While expanding cultural competence, songs can also contribute to students' knowledge of their own native language. Gregory Hadley asks, what do we mean when we say a person knows a word? Is it the memorization of the definition of the lexical item or the ability to use the word in context? Linguists would say both, and more is required to know a word. When students encounter the line, on the breakwater in Ustka, love me all over again, they usually don't know what a breakwater or falochron means in Polish. But when I translate this word into Ukrainian, only a few people typically understand what kind of construction I'm talking about. So after working with this song, students not only learn the local case, but also expand their knowledge of Polish culture and improve their Ukrainian vocabulary. The only problem with this song is that it comes from 2001, so it's quite outdated. Therefore, the question arises whether we should use only contemporary songs, or lecturers may offer students some old songs if they contain interesting materials. Students' musical tastes vary widely, And not all students may enjoy same genres or styles of music. Using songs that do not align with students' preferences can lead to disengagement and lack of motivation. It is important to educators to consider the diverse musical interests of their students to maintain a positive and inclusive learning atmosphere. According to Magdalena Kaczmarek, the first criterion should be the popularity of the piece in the circle of course participants. The groups are usually diverse in terms of gender, age, religion, or motivation, but most are young people who have friends among Polish students. As lecturers, we can give them a chance to get to know Polish music listened to by their peers, and not admittedly beautiful old Polish melodies. While agreeing with this statement, I have to say that students themselves do not always listen to only contemporary music. Here you can scan the QR code to the playlist that I have compiled from the tracks my students have recommended to me. One of them shared their experience. I think that listening to songs in foreign language classes, including Polish, is useful. This way, it is easier to remember words, grammatical structures, and through songs, you can better understand the culture of another country. I liked it when in Polish language classes, we were able to recommend and listen to songs in Polish that we liked and those that corresponded to the topics covered. I still remember the vocabulary learned in this way. So, what do young Ukrainians studying Polish at Kyiv-Mohyla Academy listen to? My students recommended 46 songs. Most of them come from the 2000s, but they also mentioned Hey Sokole, which comes from the 18th century, and a number of Polish patriotic songs from the First and Second World Wars. For example, My Pierwsza Brygada and Czerwone Maki na Monte Cassino. As you can see in the chart, students mostly listen to songs from 2020, 2019, and 2022. Only 18% of the songs are over 10 years old, which proves that students choose more up-to-date music when they listen to it on their own. Most of the artists were listed only once, but 6 times the students mentioned the records of the Polish singer Sana, and 4 times the band NA. Of course, their popularity played a role, but I also see 2 other reasons for it. Firstly, students had a chance to learn about both performers during a Polish course at the university. They get to know songs of Sana when we study the works of one of Poland's greatest poets, Adam Mickiewicz, or the works of Polish Nobel Prize winner in literature, Wisława Szymborska. The poem Sana composed the music for is full of genitive cases, so we often use it to practice grammar. Besides, it is one of the most popular poems by Wisława Szymborska, which is worth knowing to immerse yourself in Polish culture. I used to start introducing students to Szymborska with her classics, Kot w pustym mieszkaniu, Cat in an Empty Apartment. This is a beautiful and sensual poem written after the death of her partner, the Polish writer Kornel Filipowicz. The poem begins with the line, "Die, you can do that to cat." At the center of the poem is a cat that cannot grasp death, and it leads to an unusual view on human mortality. When the full-scale invasion came and death became closer to my students, I choose a more light-hearted alternative for them, which was Nic dwa razy się nie zdarza, or Nothing Can Ever Happen Twice. As for NA, the students are introduced to this musical group in the context of Christmas. As they sing many traditional Polish carols, but with a bit of a modern twist. The students' attention is also drawn to the name of this group because it is, in this case, Enei is the main character of the mock heroic poem Eneida by Ivan Kotlarevsky, the founder of modern Ukrainian literature. Some of the band participants have Ukrainian roots, and they often sing in Ukrainian and support Ukraine openly. I think this is the second reason why students actively recommended the songs by Enei and Sana. For example, they named Mother You Cried, a single by Sana and Igor Herbut, which was released on March 8, 2022, shortly after the full-scale invasion started. The recording received triple platinum single status in Poland, exceeding 150,000 copies sold. But even more important, the song was recorded for charity purposes. The profit went to the Shimaha Association to help children from Ukraine who were victims of the Russian invasion. In other words, young Ukrainians were, while learning Polish, pay attention not only to the artist's popularity or genre or style, but also to their civic position and ability to emphasize and support those in need. Teresa Shek-Piskozub suggests that songs make language learning more interesting. Pupils become familiar with the culture of the foreign language and learn about its national spirit. 49 out of 50 students agree that songs help them explore and better understand Polish culture. 92% of students believe that songs in the classroom enrich their knowledge of Poland and Poles. In addition, 92% of respondents believe that songs help them to go beyond the topic covered in the standard A1, A2 level syllabus. As one of the students confessed, I love music. I can't imagine life without it. I recently discovered the Polish band Orkiestra Świętego Mikołaja. I like that they add a lot of colloquial motifs. Thanks to them, I now perceive Polish music in a different way. Because before, I only imagined it as a few funny songs. I think using Polish music in our classes is a great idea. I would be happy to learn about other bands and delve into the language through the musical layer. The problem with using folk songs in the classroom lies in the complexity of the lyrics that can pose a significant challenge. Songs often use poetic language, metaphors, and non-standard grammar, which can be difficult for learners to decipher. Songs with complex lyrics or fast tempos can overwhelm students, especially those at lower proficiency levels. The cognitive load requires the process to process the language, melody, and rhythm simultaneously. It can be too demanding, leading to frustration and reduced comprehension. Moreover, such songs may feature singers with strong regional accents or unique pronunciation styles that differ from the standard language taught in the classroom. This can lead to confusion and mispronunciation, as learners may mimic the non-standard pronunciation they hear in the song. Context or providing additional support can help mitigate this issue. So how can we effectively combine language learning with immersion into local cultures? Patrycja Kownacka thinks an interesting solution could be to reach for text referring to the realities of a given place using typical vocabulary, which would serve as a signpost for foreigners who do not fully find their way in the micro-community. I will now give you 3 examples of songs, 2 of which worked well for this purpose, but 1 of which required additional extensive explanation. The first song, Miasto Słońca by Eldo, introduced the listeners to a typical day in Warsaw, which is here called the City of Sun. The Signpost words here are Sireni Gród, which means city of sirens. It is a paraphrase for Warsaw. It is associated with the symbol of the city, the mermaid of Warsaw, Syrenka Warszawska, which is represented on the city's coat of arms, as well as in a number of statues and other imagery. Śródmieście, or downtown, the central district of Warsaw, it encompasses the old town, the city's historic core, and the center of, and it is the center of cultural, commercial, and political life of the capital. Krakowskie Przedmieście, or Kraków Fore Town, one of the best-known streets of Warsaw. Surrounded by historic places, churches, special houses, it constitutes the part of Warsaw royal route and links the old town and royal castle with some of the most notable institutions in Warsaw, including the Presidential Palace, Warsaw University, and the Polish Academy of Sciences. Skaryszew is an urban monumental park located in the Praga Południe, South Praga district of Warsaw. Warsawians, especially the young ones, usually call the park Skaryszak. These songs introduces students to the important locations in Warsaw, reminds them of the vocabulary that describes daily activities, but does not overwhelm them with the complexity of the lyrics. Another such song is It's in Krakow by Michał Mysza, To w Krakowie. This song has extremely simple lyrics, a light pop melody and medium tempo, which helps students to remember new vocabulary well. It is loaded with various symbols of Krakow, the market square, here you can see, the town hall, the Adam Mickiewicz monument, Wawel Castle, the Vistula River, and others. What is important from a learner's perspective is that all the symbols named in the song are supported by visuals, so that when watching the video and listening to the song, students do not have to constantly Google the information or ask the teacher. They can just guess from the pictures what is called what. This song has proven to be useful at the beginning level, when students are not yet ready to understand complex lyrics, but already want to expand their knowledge of Poland and its culture. The third song is actually my favorite out of the three, but I had to accept that it's too difficult for students to have who have just started learning Polish. It is Nie przenoście nam stolicy do Krakowa, or Don't move the capital to Krakow, from the band Pod Budą. This song is also loaded with symbols of Krakow. It reminds us of Rynek Square, the Wierzynek restaurant, the Piast dynasty, florists, and even the Krakow smog. The problem is that along with Krakow symbols, this song is filled with metaphors and phraseology. Golden notes are falling on the market square. Florists wait for a miracle. They will be here soon, arrogant faces, holy words. Here you walk with the moon in your buttonhole. How is it possible? What does it mean? And the main question is, why can't the capital be moved to Krakow? I completely agree with Ewa Lipinska for including this song in her B2 level course book. Although my students, being Ukrainians, can translate the lyrics of this song, they cannot yet understand its message and decipher all the hidden meanings laid down by the author. They lack the historical, cultural, and societal context and need to go farther along in their learning of Polish to understand this song in full. To summarize this block of our webinar, I would like to answer the question raised earlier as to whether it is appropriate to ask students to work with older songs. The answer is yes, but taking into account the value of the material offered by the song and its relevance to the language level of the students. Since knowledge and learners' expectations are subject to constant change, the culture didactics program should be diverse enough for foreigners to constantly expand their cultural expertise. While songs can be engaging, they may also distract learners from the primary learning objectives. The enjoyment of the music can sometimes overshadow the educational content, leading to a focus on the entertainment aspects rather than the language learning goals. On the other hand, songs often evoke strong emotions, which can be both beneficial and detrimental. For some students, certain songs may trigger negative emotions or memories, leading to discomfort or distress. This emotional response can distract from the learning objectives and create an unfavorable classroom environment. The need to deal with students' emotions when choosing to listen to music during a foreign language class is even more important in the context of war. Let me give you a little background. This is a map from the deep state where you can see the occupied territories, the current front line, and the most dangerous locations. In red, of course. The blue crosses indicate the places from which the students who took part in the survey come from. While there are students from the relatively safe Lviv, Lutsk, or Ternopil regions, some respondents come from the currently occupied Crimea, Donetsk, and Donetsk. Other students may still have relatives and friends in the highly dangerous Odessa, Mykolaiv, Zaporizhia, and Chernihiv regions. However, we all have to understand that nowhere in Ukraine is safe. Missile strikes and Russian drones can come from anywhere, anytime, so all the students live under the constant stress. Some may have more stress because they come from a region that is often shelled, or have father, boyfriend, or brother, or friend on the front line. Some of our students have already lost their loved ones in this war. Often it happened during the school year. Any traumatic event requires time to adapt. As you can see from the diagram, only 22% of students were able to listen to music in the first year of the full-scale invasion. For 64%, it was difficult to listen to any music, and 48% of respondents agree that in 2022 it was difficult for them to listen to upbeat music. After 3 years of full-scale invasion, Ukrainians have become more resilient, and now only 14% of students agree that the events of war affect their ability to listen to music in general. But war is a constant roller coaster of emotions. So despite the declared resilience in the previous statement, students also confirmed that for 48% of them, it is still difficult to listen to music if the event affects them or has many victims or distraction. As a lecturer, I certainly have my doubts about whether to listen to songs in class if I know something big has happened. According to a 2016 experiment, using songs in foreign language classes can significantly reduce anxiety in students who are generally more anxious. This method is less effective for students with lower anxiety levels. Teachers who enjoy and are successful in incorporating songs into their lessons may see better language performance in their anxious students due to reduced anxiety. However, since not all teachers have music skills or enjoy this method, it should be used with caution. This means that while it affects emotions, music reduces anxiety and can help create a positive atmosphere in the audience. Students also prove this statement. 88% agree that music in foreign language classes energizes them, and 90% agree that music calms them down. Only 3 students declared that they would not like to listen to the song during a foreign language class when they feel sad or anxious. Other students left the following comments. I believe that with the help of music, you can not only relax and cheer yourself up, but also immerse yourself into the culture of the language, so it is extremely effective in classes. Also, music helps to learn the language not only by constantly studying the rules, but also by perceiving it by ear. It is also a very cool way to get a little distracted, because with music, you both learn and relax. And another student wrote, in the last question, I answered definitely not, in the sense that I would prefer to listen to songs. I like listening to songs and developing my knowledge of the language, and thanks to them, delving into the culture of the Poles. I think it would be better to use them within the course because you will also expand your tastes and develop the knowledge. Also, Polish songs helped me at the beginning of a full-scale invasion. The use of songs in a classroom creates a dynamic and interactive learning environment. Music has the power to evoke emotions and maintain a learner's interest, making the learning process more enjoyable and less monotonous, even during the war. In conclusion, the incorporation of songs into foreign language teaching offers a holistic approach that addresses cognitive, affective, and cultural dimensions of language learning. This method not only enriches the learning experience, but also contributes to more effective and enjoyable language acquisition. Songs provide a context for repetitive practice of language structures in a meaningful way. The repetitive nature of choruses and verses allows for continuous reinforcement of linguistic elements. While songs can be a valuable tool in foreign language teaching, educators must be mindful of the potential challenges. Careful selection of songs, consideration of the learner's proficiency level, and alignment with learning objectives are essential to maximize the benefits and minimize the drawbacks of using songs in the language classroom. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm ready to answer all your comments and questions.
Thank you very much, Kateryna, for this presentation. It was very, very interesting. In the meantime, I'm waiting for the questions from the audience. I have one. At the beginning, you were saying that you use a survey to know what your students would like to listen and to study during your class. Does it happen that sometimes the songs that they would like to listen and to study are not appropriate? Do you have sometimes to just say yes or no depending on the songs?
Thank you for the question. Yes, actually, there is one song that for 3 years now, each group of my students has been sharing this with me and proposing to listen to it in our classes. This song is Where is the White Eel by Tsipis. The song itself dates back to 2015, but it became widely known in the internet as part of Polish dancing cow meme. But it became even more famous when Walmart released a children's toy. It was a cactus dancing to this song. The problem was, and the scandal actually, was that the song begins with the lyrics like, I have only one thing on my mind, 5 grams of cocaine. And it was a children's toy. So, of course, after this scandal and after this popular meme with cow, my students know about this song even before starting the Polish course. But no, I have doubts that I will use it someday in my classes.
Yes, sure. Yeah, you have to be very careful on the songs you propose to your students. Okay.
Yes.
And do you sometimes have to explain the context of a song?
Yeah. Very often I have to explain the context of the song, especially if it's something that concerns Polish history, because typically our students know really little about Polish history. But there was actually some funny situation when I chose a song I thought was neutral, that nothing special was there, only plain lyrics. It was actually a good song, a Polish classic rock from the band Jam, named Vehicle Czasu, Time Machine. And I've been using it to teach my students past tense. But there was the line about putting flour into the barrel again. And my students asked me, is it some kind of metaphor? What does it mean? So I had to explain them what it means flower power. I wanted to show them this famous photograph taken during the march to end the Vietnam War. So we had to move away from the past tense and talk more about the world history. And it was actually not that expected from me, because I thought that at least this photograph is quite famous visual.
All right. Yeah, it's not easy. Like a song like brings so many things. Yeah, the context and the history. So yeah, it can be challenging. I don't see question, but I still have one. As you were mentioning, and it's like the current situation. How is it challenging to teach in a time of war? Because, like as you were saying, students are affected, and emotionally it can be very complicated for them. So, how challenging is it as well for you as a lecturer to make sure that they are still emotionally well in your classes?
Thank you for this question. I'd say that since the beginning of pandemics, actually, and then the war, I developed more close in-person relations with my students, because I understood that they need to see me and to view me not only as a Polish lecturer, but as a person they can share their personal problems with. And typically, my students will write to me if they want just to sit quietly and ask me not to ask them, for example, to answer on the lesson, or they will share their problems, their fears, and so on. So I know something about their emotional state. But on the other hand, I should confess that the performance of our students hasn't dropped. They are actually working really well on Polish courses because, as they say, they view it as the way to escape the situation. Especially because other courses are more academically challenging for them. And Polish language is closely related to Ukrainian, so it's not that hard for them to work here. They grasp a lot just from hearing and reading, and that's why they come to these lessons just to relax, to have fun, and of course to learn something useful. So I'm glad that they are thinking this way about Polish language and not as about some other boring class.
Yeah, that's great. I don't see any question. There is just a comment, but it's in Slavic, I think. So I think they're just thanking you,
Yes.
Doctor. I think it's Dr. Kateryna or seminar. I think I can, yes.
Yeah,
I think it's to thank you, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's thank you, Dr. Kateryna. Great seminar.
Okay. Great. So thank you very much, Kateryna, for participating and for sharing all your knowledge and expertise on the field. It was a pleasure to have you participating in this webinar. For those who were not able to attend, you'll have the chance to watch it later on the YouTube channel. And I invite you to join us for the next webinars of the series. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.